All right. It is Monday morning. That means Donald Trump joins us. Good morning to you, Mr. Trump.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good to have you. Of course, we'd like to get you to weigh in on the George Zimmerman case. He was found Saturday night down in Florida not guilty. The jury bought his defense that he killed Trayvon Martin in self-defense. There have been protests in the last 36 hours or so all across the country, for the most part nice and peaceful. It does look like the Department of Justice is investigating whether or not to open a federal civil rights case. We don't know about that. We don't know about whether or not the Martin family will file a civil case against George Zimmerman. What do you think about what happened?
Well, you have to start by saying Zimmerman is no angel. It's a really tough situation, very, very terrible. I mean, when I've watched it, I found it very interesting. And the problem is there was very little evidence. There was no proof. The self-defense groups down there, they're very strong on self-defense in Florida, and they have a, very strong statute, very hard to get away from it. And you just have to, I didn't like the fact that Zimmerman was told to stay in his truck, don't move, and he went out and he certainly moved. But he's no angel. We know that. This is not a guy who doesn't deserve certain blame. The fact is, though, the jury made a decision based on the fact that there just was no proof, no evidence, and they brought the self-defense statute in, which is very, very strong in the state of Florida.
It sounds like you disagree with the verdict, Donald.
No, I don't disagree with the verdict. I just don't think that Zimmerman is necessarily somebody that's going to heaven very quickly.
Ryan?
Yeah, I just found the whole trial. There was no intrigue to it. It's such tragedy on both sides. One guy's life is ruined, another kid is dead, and I almost find that both sides are now all of a sudden everyone's saying, look out for what's next. I'm not saying cheering on a would-be riot, but from Oakland to Los Angeles to New York City, everyone's wondering if this is going to be the 1990s in Los Angeles again, Donald, and I hope we're smarter than that. And I also see that very simply when Al Sharpton comes forward and says, I'm ready for Plan B now, and thinks civil rights and a federal prosecution could be coming, I think this thing could be just starting.
Well, hopefully that's not going to happen, and hopefully it can end now. A lot of people thought the case shouldn't be brought because of the self-defense, and frankly, it was brought. It was brought without showing some pretty bad pictures of Zimmerman and other things. So, pictures of how badly he was hurt. So it was brought, and a lot of investigation should go on, but maybe it should be cut. Look, the trial perhaps should not have been brought. Right. It was a very ugly situation. Too bad. It really is too bad. With all the cameras around today, every time you see something, you see cameras. Unfortunately, there were no cameras. You could have solved it really quickly with a camera in the right spot. But the law is the law,
right.
And the fact is that that's the way it is. The jury has ruled. These people were under tremendous pressure. I will tell you, these 6 jurors were under tremendous pressure. I thought they may do something different just because of that pressure.
I know, that is amazing, and there were only 6 of them, and they were all females, and many people, use stereotypes saying, oh, well, they'll let emotions get the best of them, and, they had an amazingly tough job.
I think it took a lot, Gretchen. I think it took a lot of courage for the jurors to come up with this decision, frankly.
The other, finding them guilty of something would have been the easy way, from a public relations standpoint for their lives going forward, you would think.
Well, they went with the proper, from a legal perspective, they did the right thing. I think, frankly, I was amazed. 6 women, I guess 5 mothers, and frankly, what they did took a lot of courage. Yeah. I actually thought there's a possibility they may convict on manslaughter, or they may convict on something on the lesser ground, on the basis, and just on the basis that there's a lot of, there's potential danger to their lives. Now, I've never seen a picture of the jurors, and I guess they're keeping that away. But the jurors really, they really went out of their way. A lot of people were surprised that they did this, although watching scholars and watching legal scholars, they absolutely made the right decision.
Don, a lot of people like you tweet on situations like this and major stories. To follow you on Twitter is to get an education, know exactly what you're thinking. Unfortunately, I think a lot of people are not taking their time before they tweet. For example, Giants wide receiver Victor Cruz says this: Zimmerman doesn't last a year before the hood catches up with him. Roddy White, all them jurors should go home tonight and kill themselves for letting a grown man get away with killing a kid. Christy Alley, white people used to make black people drink from separate drinking fountains. Now we just shoot their children with misspellings included. Donald, what's your reaction to that?
Well, it's tough stuff, and this is great hostility. It's amazing, you know, you have thousands and thousands of trials going on in this country, but this one captured everyone's, for whatever reason, and you could, I guess, say certain reasons, but this one captured everybody's imagination. You have big trials going on, nobody cares about them. This one, I found it personally fascinating. I thought it was amazing, and it captured everybody's imagination. And, you know, there's pretty much no gray area here. Everything is one side or the other, and there's tremendous hostility. I've seen it. I saw it over the weekend, two people that felt totally different about it. So it is tough, and again, I'm very surprised the jury, you know, they showed tremendous courage.
Well, they did.
Very surprised by it.
And you know what, Donald, as the people take to the streets and we're looking at some of the protests right here, you made a great point. Down in the great state of Florida, the stand your ground law and self-defense in general is very broad. And if they want to change anything, change the law.
Well, it's very broad. It's very tough. In terms of Zimmerman, it was very, very good for him. And it was, you know, a lot of people thought at the beginning of the trial it was so strong that this is a case that should never have been brought.
Yep.
A lot of people are questioning why this case was brought, because the law is so strong that the jury had to really make that decision. So it's a mess, and it'll continue to be a mess for a while, but I'm sure it'll work out.
Donald, let me ask you what he should do next, because you are the master of public relations and getting people noticed in the world, getting your products noticed and things that you've accomplished. Would you advise him just the opposite right now? That's what Alan Dershowitz is telling him. Listen to this.
Certainly advised Klaus von Bülow to disappear, and he went off to England, disappeared, and that served him very, very well. O.J. Simpson didn't do that. O.J. Simpson forced himself onto the public that wasn't interested in seeing him at all. I would hope that George Zimmerman would disappear from view and just try to rebuild his life.
What do you think? That's coming from the Harvard. Yeah, that's
100%.
Coming from the Harvard professor who was one of O.J. Simpson's defense attorneys.
I think 100% right. I think he's going to disappear, and it's good for everybody if he disappears. And let him go on with a life, but he should just leave. This has been really a traumatic period for the country, and actually hasn't been as bad as a lot of people thought it would be. Now we're just beginning. Let's see what happens. But this has been very traumatic. He should disappear for his own sake and for the country's sake.
Yeah. He wants to be a lawyer. Let's see how that goes.
All right. Donald Trump, we thank you very much for joining us live.